Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at a 16 Nexus point that we did this week. This is week 2 of Season 1 for Midnight. Um, this is the Resto Druid sort of POV for that, and what I'm looking to get out of this is finding places where I can improve my damage, and then also just kind of going over the dungeon, looking at mechanics that you can help mitigate as a Resto Druid, and thinking about ways that I could improve my gameplay. We had 4 deaths on this run, so I need to go back and see if I could have helped in any way. Because oftentimes, even if it isn't your fault, there's probably something you could have done to help, and I can always play better. So with that, we're gonna start going into the Nexus point key. This is the first time that I played with this tank, so I didn't have sort of any built-in synergy with him. I wasn't quite sure how he pulled or how he used his defensives, so I'm kind of going in blind on that. I think I use my Iron Bark pretty liberally. The only thing that I know when I play with new Brewmasters is I want to try and not overlap with their Fort Brew. Going into the first pull, I know that there's a lot of AoE damage. I try and pre-ramp on everybody. When you get the circle debuff, you can shift out of it with, bear form, cat form, and anyone that has a movement impairing, like freedom can help with that. Alright, so looks like there's some casts going off. I'm being really aggressive about pre-hotting the team. I'm probably keeping us a lot healthier than I need to, but the last thing that I want to happen is have us, get a casualty during the lust window, so that's part of why I'm doing that. Also, this group doesn't have much in the way of freedom from snares, so I'm gonna have to heal through the debuffs. Get the debuff, shift out, good. One thing that I have noticed this season is I like to save my Heart of the Wild, Feral Frenzy for boss fights. I waste a lot of uptime with that. Okay, here comes the big set of debuffs. I need to use a cooldown. This really needs to be a throughput cooldown. I might have been able to spam regrow through that, but that's a scary. One thing that I want to make a mental note of is when the next time the debuffs go out, if I have to use a healing cooldown, try and save it towards the end. The damage ramps up more on the higher stacks. On that first one, I sent my Convoke very early, and I probably would have been better off if I saved it a little bit towards the end. But yeah, as I was saying, I really need to just get in the habit of getting in there and spending the 1 or 2 seconds to get out my Feral Frenzy and my Rip. And that's unfortunate. It looks like I send the Trank, but I have to move. But it's okay, we live it. Probably save Barkskin for that stacking debuff. And again, we're just really liberal use of Iron Bark on the tank. Cool, Rogue has a defensive to get out of that. And the Shaman has a defensive to help mitigate the damage, but I do still have to heal through the debuff. Yeah, right here... So I'm playing scared. Right here, I could be getting into cat form, putting out some bleeds. I'm playing very conservative, where I don't really need to. I'm still trying to find the balance of, getting my DPS in when I can versus being prepared. When I looked at my logs after this key, I think I had something along the lines of 50% overhealing. Part of that comes with the build that I'm running. In prior videos, I did not take Nurturing Dormancy, but for this key, I actually swapped a point out of Nature's Bounty, which is the regrowth cleave, into Nurturing Dormancy to help with my rejuvenation ramps and uptime. But all of that is to say, there's a lot of downtime that I'm spending where I could have been weaving in a couple of bleeds. I think I end the key with around like 5 or 6k overall DPS, And so I don't think it would take many globals throughout the key to double that up at a minimum, which, you know, isn't that much in the grand scheme of things, but it's still helping, you know, helping out wherever it can, because we're gonna get to the point soon enough where min-maxing is important. But again, this was my only first time doing this on a 16, so I was kind of nervous. So stacking debuff goes out, I convoke there. Oh, looks like the ads got blasted into Narnia somehow. What the hell? Cool. Coming on to the first boss, one of the things that I wanted to be mindful of is in a couple of keys I had gotten the debuff to clear the beams, and I just did not want to send it on a 1 stack. So get it here, heal myself. It's a not a terrible idea to send your life bloom over to the person that has to clear. Especially towards the end of the fight, they may have to be next to a puddle. And you can keep them up for the duration of the stun with your Apex Talent healing. I think going forward I need to play a bit closer in melee for future keys to help with puddle management, just to not be dropping stuff all over the place. So right here I should be casting my Nature's Growth, Wild Growth. I spent like a solid 2 seconds there just chilling in bear form, preempting the sort of the knock, and I could have just been doing other things with that time, so that was bad by me. I was thinking about going into melee there, but I got kind of scared away by the beams. Looks like we're sending it on a 1, which is okay. I mean, we needed the space, right? Who's it go on next? Looks like it goes on the DH. DH clears. Good. Yeah, this room is getting so messy, man. But in looking at this, I've had my Heart of the Wild off cooldown for a while now, and I don't think it would have been too difficult to get in there and hit a global. I mean, semi-trank, good. Rather than having dead globals at that time, it looks like the rogue is gonna... Okay, so I could have Iron Barked the rogue. I might have been able to save him there. So that's... I think that one is kind of on me. I should have... yeah, waiting a second for the second line. Try not to stand in the puddle. Good. Yeah, so I don't think that there's too much tank damage going on in here, so that's a good sort of thought on my end to save Iron Bark for a DPS in here. There's certain fights where Iron Bark is for the tanks only, and then there's certain fights where Iron Bark is for the DPS, so it's good to know that I could have probably helped him there. But yeah, again, it looks like he got the debuff and was in the puddle. Oh, it looks like it's on the road again. So he's eating the beam with... Yeah, no, I did send... No, I had Iron Bark myself. Yeah, I don't know that I could have helped him. He probably needed to wait like a second or two before clearing the debuff. Letting me clear the heal absorb off of him. But we're at the end of the fight, so we didn't lose too much out of that. So I think one of those deaths was probably preventable by me. I could have saved it. The second one, I don't really know. The heal buff is pretty beefy. It takes a while to heal that off. And it looked like I convoked that too. Convoke is kind of unfortunate in that there's RNG component that goes on to who gets your healing. But overall, first boss down and only 2 deaths, so not horrible. Looks like we're taking both of these. Yeah, I wasted time hanging out in cat form stealth. I was ready to put some bleeds up, and then I chickened out and just started healing, so I should have just gotten up in there. Tank would have been okay. One of the things that you run into when you pug all of your keys is that you don't have any synergy with the tanks. So like, I didn't know he was going to send Fort Brew there. I just have to play everything as if like I assume they're not going to be hitting buttons. But I should have trusted him more. I have played with the tank player on DPS, like when he was the DPS role before, but never as his brew, so this is all new to me. Cool, the pack goes down, roar to help us move. It is a little annoying not having timers for trash. When I came into this pack, I knew that there was going to be pulsing AoE damage, I just had no idea when it was going to be, so I was over-preparing. Again, just looking at my bars, pointing out that my Feral Frenzy is still off cooldown, so I need to get into a habit of hitting that button, and I think it's going to be a massive DPS increase. And then I should also make a point of sending it at the beginning of packs, because I know that sometimes I think about using it and I use it at the end of the pack, and it's just kind of wasted at that point. Let's see if I hit it. Nope. Ramping a little bit. Okay, so it's the Dread Below is where one of the AoEs comes from. I'm surprised I set my Trank there. It looks like I thought about using both Convoke and Trank. I went with the Trank. I think I probably wanted guaranteed healing, but it probably doesn't matter because I end up sending them both anyway. Again, Iron Bark on the tank. I didn't check my Life Bloom uptime for this run, but I felt like I've been doing a lot better job of that in compared to the Alagathar run that I have posted on my channel, where it was very low. A little stressful here against some regrowth spam. Yeah, again, Heart of the Wild's on cooldown, or off cooldown. I should be hitting that button. I think that's gonna be like one of my biggest takeaways is just hit the dang button. But that's good. That's why we do these reviews. Okay, good. Yeah, see, I'm listening to myself apparently. I was a little bit behind in terms of hot coverage, but nothing bad happened, so that's good. On these single, sort of once all the other little trashes died and the tank's not really in any danger, and you have the pulsing AoE, you're a very good target for your Life Bloom, just to add to all the splash healing that you can get out. And then, like, in addition to that, depending on your group comp, like for here we have the two sort of ranged players with Ellie Shaman and Devourer. You can place your efflorescence a little bit better. I really need to get those curses off. Oh, I already sent Vortex. sometimes I have a bad habit when I play with monks in that I'll drop a vortex expecting them that they need to kite a little bit, and that never happens. So that would have been a good time to have vortex for those little smudges. It would be nice if I was in comms with the tank to be able to coordinate that type of stuff, but you know, you can only do so much. Okay, good iron bark on the tank, I think. Feral Frenzy, man. I wonder what I was doing there. I think I might have been typing. There's a little bit of a dead global. Oh, I got aggro. Oh, gotta heal him. Alright, cool. One thing I can say that I've gotten a bit better at is uncoupling my Convoke the Spirits with my Nature Swiftness. I mentioned this in a previous video that in prior expansions I almost always Nature Swiftness prior to Convoke, but it doesn't really seem to be necessary right now, and with the way that Soul of the Forest has, I think it's Power of the Archdruid baked in, where your regrowth cleaves onto multiple people, it makes your nature swiftness a very like a sort of like a swiftman nature swiftness combo really potent. So having it as its own sort of cooldown to be able to use. I like the ROP right there. It made me feel nice and safe. Give me a place I could sort of set up. But I should be getting in there and spreading. When I'm looking at my bars right now, I notice that I'm putting a rejuve and a germination on most people. I think that's probably overkill. I think at most I just need a rejuve on most people. Um, so that's something I can try and do to minimize overhealing. A lot of those are placed by my rejuve cast after Soul of the Forest, so it's not like a manual process, but still it's something I can think about in order to help sort of min-max on the meters. Little Shadow Mill drink there. I don't think that there's too many meldable mechanics in this dungeon. I think like the little bugs at the end, and then obviously you can use it as a to stop a cast on you if you need to. So Shadow Mill drink is not a bad play here.
I'll the first one, but after that I won't really have anything to look at.
Yeah, we can do this, guys. Stay positive. One thing to note in here is if you shift into bear form, it does change the radius of the circle. So when those circles come out, you know, you spread and you drop the debuff. You don't want anyone in your circle, and it gives you a ticking dot. I feel like that's a time where I shift my life bloom. So you can see I move my life bloom from the tank to the shaman, and you can heal them with, you know, they get the stacking mastery from harmonious blooming, which is good. They get the cleave healing from your being your regrowth target, and they also get your apex talent. Alright, I sent my Convoke a little bit early to catch up here, but I think that's not terrible. I've got 9 stacks of abundance going into that, so that's, I think that's like a guaranteed critical chance on every regrowth for 0 mana cost. Alright, cool. So dots come out, or circles come out. Change my life bloom. Yep, there's the change in circle size I was talking about. And focus heal the target that doesn't have the life bloom, so in this case the shaman. Okay, cool. Dots go out. I life bloom the rogue, so that means I'm going to heal the DH. I've got a Swiftman coming, and then that should give big splash healing for both of them. Yeah, and they're full. Looks like a nullify cast goes off here. Yeah. If I was more mindful of that, I don't have a kick, but I probably could have roared it. Although, you know, I don't know if that would have been 100% helpful, but it probably would have helped prevent that death. So I think that's a death that could have been prevented by me. Alright, so I need to catch up here. I was a little bit behind with the ads coming out. Oh, that's unfortunate. So the shaman onked and then kind of died insta. So I don't think I could have saved that one. But we have plenty of battle reses, so it's not bad. Alright, cool. So they're back up. I don't know if I rebuff or not. I try to be mindful about rebuffing after deaths, but there's kind of a lot going on. Swap my life bloom. Rogue's got full hot, so he's good. I probably need some hots on the shaman. I just go ahead and reroll through it. Let's see. I bark skin myself because I was feeling scared, and then I convoked. I convoked really early right there. 9 minutes. Yeah, if I was in my own headspace, if I'm trying to remember what I was thinking, I was probably just really scared at that moment and wanted to convoke early to get some hot coverage out. But we only had the 2 deaths. One of them may have been preventable. I could have in-capped. I had Typhoon. I just did not have the presence of mind to hit those buttons at the time. I probably could have Shadow Meld stunned it if I, you know, was a much better player. What happened on that boss, though? You just blew up. I mean, was it like we didn't have ads? Cool. I hate these bugs. This sort of Radiant Swarm. I will oftentimes drop a Vortex on the bridge just so we can run past them and I don't have to like deal with them as much. Right now I'm just kind of getting meleeed. The blind goes off, we're good to advance. And again, I'm just looking at my bars, and my Heart of the Wild, Feral Frenzy, whatever it's called, has been off cooldown for like 12 hours at this point. The dispels in this room actually hurt pretty badly. And I think what one of the key takeaways from watching this back is one, I need to be dispelling like insta and on cooldown, and the other thing is I need to not use my Iron Bark as a tank CD right here, and I need to focus my Iron Bark for if someone gets a magic dot debuff and one of the light things, like whatever that shaman has on him right now, that ticking dot, that paired with a magic debuff should be my cue to Iron Bark. So that's a good takeaway from me here as to like when to use my external. Dude, it's fine. It's a game. Come on, get me out of combat, dude. I don't know why I'm like I can hear the comms. I don't know if that's gonna come across in the actual review itself, but in my ear I can hear that I'm struggling about mana, and I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm at half. I'm totally fine. Okay, should get a dispel off. Good. Alright, that was a good choice. I had Barkskin, so I made sure to dispel the other one and use my own defensive, so that was good thinking. I need to get some hot coverage on the tank. Okay, I should Iron Bark the... Okay, cool, dispel them. Good. Yeah, I probably should have still sent Iron Bark on the Shaman. I mean, we lived it anyway, and I have it. Let's see if I can drink before the boss. I think I do. Yeah. So I had good hot coverage on the tank. I wasn't too worried about him. Where are we going? Cool. Swift Mend into Rejuve. Get some hot coverage out on the group. Apex talent on the tank. To help deal with the ticking damage on here, I like to switch my Life Bloom to one of the targets that gets the circle debuff. Whenever I have the debuff, I always choose myself as like a default.
This thing's so good when you're just like doing.
Yeah, good job. Finally hitting the button. I should have used my combat potion. Oh, the rogue is hurt. Did I set my Iron Bark on? Yeah, I set my Iron Bark on the rogue, so I think that was a good play. If he didn't cloak, I think I would have still saved him. But that was pretty necessary. I have to go back. I don't know what he had on him. I was wondering if he was standing in one of like the slashes on the ground or something. Cool. Throughput cooldown for that phase. Looks like one of the kicks went on the wrong target, I think, is how we get that debuff. So that's like the 300% increased damage or something like that.
Get it if someone kicks the wrong.
Do I swap my Life Bloom? I don't. But, oh, see, that was kind of a misplay. I should have used the Nature Swiftness into a regrowth, but I set my Trank anyway, just because I was scared of the damage amp that we have on us, which probably I think was the better play at the time. Cool, so the damage amp's almost gone, so we lived that, which is really nice. Going into the next phase. I have Convoke available. I'm pre-ramping this phase, which is good. And I'll probably Bark Skin. I don't think I should Bark Skin. If I do, that's a bad play, so hopefully I don't. Perfect. I like to save Bark Skin as an option for myself when I get the sort of big circle target on this phase. Yeah, Brilliant Dispersion, sure. That's what it's called. Yep, good. One small thing that's kind of nice is if you have your Life Bloom on your tank during the Searing Rend, you can Swift Mend him into a Rejuve or Regrowth, either one, and that takes care of the majority of the damage that's going to happen with your Apex talent. It sort of matches up very nicely. Divine Guile's coming out. I should be pre-ramping, but I'm not. But I'll have Convoke available.
We're missing percent, right?
Alright, send the Convoke. No, didn't send the Convoke. Cool, boss is down. Looks like we have 0.34% left, which is just one of these little dudes. We have a minute on the timer, which isn't horrible. It felt a lot tighter at the time, but we're pretty good. I should drop my Vortex and just run away. Yeah, good. Cool.
Nice.
And that's the key. I think we got a lot out of that in terms of I was a lot safer than I felt when I was healing it. So yeah, I was a lot safer than I felt at the time. Identifying places where I could DPS, there were a number of packs where I had either dead globals where I could be putting out some bleeds, and then really just hitting the Heart of the Wild Feral Frenzy button a lot more often. It was a 30-minute key, so that's like it's a 2-minute cooldown, so I should be hitting it like something like 15 times, you know, give or take. And I really only hit it a couple of times, so that's one other really good takeaway. I think I'll be a little bit more aggressive with damage next time I go in here. But like I said, it was my first time with a new tank, and it was my first time in here on a 16. But that's the key. I think I got a lot out of this, and I hope anyone watching did too. Consider dropping a like and a subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one. All right, thanks.